After having shown thousands of properties to thousands of buyers, I learned that whether or not a client turns into a closed transaction, it really starts before you even show them a house. It's called a buyer's consult or buyer's consultation. This is going to be one of the most powerful things you can do if you're really looking to step up when it comes to closed transactions. During the buyer's consultation, you're going to set a clear roadmap for not only, oh, well, how many bedrooms do I want? Or am I pre-approved? But it's going to go ahead and show the person, okay, why do you want to buy a house in the first place? What are you looking to buy? Where should you buy it? When is the right time for you and your family? And of course, how in the world are we going to make this happen? So let's dive right in and just go ahead and look at what does a buyer consultation actually look like. And by the way, every single buyer, doesn't matter if they bought 2 or 3 or 5 houses, they need a buyer's consultation. The market's always changing and you may work differently than their other realtor. So first is the why. The why serves 3 purposes. First, to clarify. We have to clarify. Why are you on the phone? Why are they on the phone? Why are you guys here at a new house? You want to clarify, okay, so talk to me. What made you want to buy a house in the first place? That's a legitimate question to ask even when you're in person. And hear them out. Flesh out that story. Understand what really is going on here, as well as for them to understand what's your role here. This is a critical thing in the process when you're there and you're going to clarify with them, hey, the reason why we do a buyer consult is we just, as realtors, I'm not here just to make you buy a house. I want to make sure you're an empowered homeowner. So the first step in the buyer consult, when you're looking through why are we here, what's going on, you want to set the roadmap. You want to drive the expectation buttons. And that looks like clarifying. You need to clarify what in the world is going on, right? Number 2, when you listen to their why, they may tell you stuff like, oh, I want to buy a house because I want to invest. That's not their why. That's their artificial reason. You got to dig deep. Maybe they want to invest because they want to travel more often, and the residual income they believe is going to help them retire early. Or perhaps they're saying, I want to buy because I'm sick of renting. That's surface level. What is it about the renting that is causing them pain? So you need to probe and clarify here. You want to build rapport for sure, but you need to probe and clarify. That's the purpose of this why section. Probe and clarify, and you're going to do that in what we call build the gap. I'm talking about where are they currently? That's here, right? So that's what you're going to listen to in that section. Right here they are. This is their flat line. Okay, what problem are they trying to solve? So now you have a flat line, but it's kind of going darker, right? It's like, oh man, that's a little bit of a gap there. And then you're going to say, whoa, here's where you want to be. Yeah, you want to be in that 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. You want to have a backyard. You don't want to be dealing with someone living on top of you. That makes a lot of sense. And then when you build that gap, hey guys, I know we're here right now doing a buyer consultation, but a lot of my clients, some of them come to me after looking for a year or 2 years. What would happen if that's you? And now you made a huge gap. So you want to take their situation, find their problem, find the best case scenario, and then make them feel the worst case scenario. Because then you have a gap. When you have that gap, you can close them. And this is what happens during the why. This is a great time to get personal. If there's anything that you get away from the buyer consultation, it must be a clear why. Third part of it, throughout listening to their why, you're going to want to do objection prevention. So the best way to overcome an objection is to prevent it. So if you hear the client telling you, oh, we want to be in a multifamily property and we want, 4 family and we only want to be in Bergen County, Rutherford. Well, there's not many 4 families in Rutherford. So right there, you're going to want to make a comment saying, oh yeah, we help clients all the time get 4 families. Usually they're in an urban market, more so like Newark or Elizabeth or Jersey City. Or it may be a case that you hear a buyer saying, yeah, I really want to make something happen, but I'm in no rush. It may take me 2-3 years. You may say, well, yeah, the market could go way up in 2 or 3 years. There's no problem waiting. But I'm just curious here. Remember how you told me that if you didn't buy a house, you'd be dealing with a lot of headaches? Are you guys really willing to kind of push this off and not be in a rush and just kind of keep dealing with things? What you just did, you removed the objection from them down the road. So now you have the why. The why is clear. You understand it's not just a surface level, but you've gone to a deeper level. They understand, hey, here is what is going on. This is my realtor. This is the point of the conversation. We're going to be covering through the why, the what, the where, the when, and the how. Okay, here's why I'm here. What you're doing is you're getting in the driver's seat and you're letting them in the back where they belong so you can drive them to their destination. This is why they're paying you. So now let's get to the what. Notice how the what is so small compared to the why. And you're going to see a common theme there. The what is always smaller than the why. Why? Because the what is the solution to their why. So if someone wants to get peace and they want a big backyard, white picket fence, the whole nine, you're probably going to say, well, the kind of home you're looking for sounds like a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath in a suburb. This is a great opportunity for you to let the client speak. You want to do a very critical thing. You want to show them homes. What do I mean by that? You literally want to pull out your phone and you want to show them what kind of house are you looking for. Now realize what kind of house they're looking for is going to be largely dependent on their price range. So you want to ask them, what's your price range? Have you spoken to a lender yet? How much money are you looking to put down? That should happen either somehow in the why or here, right before you start showing them houses. So if you haven't already taken a moment and found out, are they qualified? What's going on? You messed up. You ideally want to be doing this before you even get to the buyer consult, but if you don't, then it has to be between the why and the what. When you show them homes, you want to ask for feedback. Now, what do I mean by showing them houses? I don't literally mean you're going out touring houses with them. That's impossible. You're going to take out your phone in front of them. Even if you're doing that the first time you've shown them a house, in person, you're going to take out your phone and you're going to say, hey, so what do you think about that house? Okay, that house is going for $475. Probably sell for $500. What do you think about this house? And you're going to take your phone out literally in front of them and show them and ask them to give you feedback. If you're doing this over the phone for whatever reason, you're going to send them links from Zillow. Hey, what do you think about that house? The big thing you want to communicate during the what, and this is part of objection prevention, is the 80-10-10 principle. It goes something like this. If you find a house that has 80% of everything you need, 10% of the things you can change, and 10% of the things you just can't, then you found your dream home. That looks like school, safety, etc. is your 80%. 10% of, I hate the cabinets. And then maybe 10% is, I wish I had a beachfront view. Well, I can't pick up the house and move it for you. And that is really a principle that saved me so much time and helped the buyer get realistic, right? It's one of the goals. Where is the buyer looking to buy? You want to ask them, hey, please send me your top 3 towns. Why not, my top 1 town? Because you don't want the buyer to think so narrow-minded, where I'm only going to live in this one block. It's very tough to help a buyer find a home in today's market with that kind of mindset. So you ask them, what are your top 3 towns? Sometimes the buyer will say, I only want to live in Rutherford. You say, okay, yeah, but let's say Rutherford no longer existed. Where else would you want to live? And that's a fun way of saying, hey, give me more options. By the way, so a lot of clients, when they're in the where section, they haven't yet understood a town fully. This is a great opportunity for you as a realtor to add value and talk about the town. Oh yeah, that town has a great commute to the city. Oh, I love a pizza shop there. And you want to show that you are the local expert right here. This is one of the easiest ways for you to add value if you know your area, if you know your market locally. When should the person buy? So people will always tell you, well, I want to get a good deal. I want to time the market. Well, the famous saying is you can't time the market. The best time to plant a tree, right? When was it? Yesterday. The other day? Today. It is fundamentally impossible to get the market perfectly, unless you're lucky. A buyer should only buy a property when the stars align for them, when it fits their lifestyle situation, where they have a mortgage that they feel comfortable with, when they can find a house that fits their lifestyle needs. And that's when a person should buy. So I promise you this though, if you do a good job here, it will speed up the when. So a when can go from 3 to 6 months to 1 to 3 months. And that's really the place you want to be. Now, here's the clarity. We have the why, we have the what, we have the where, and the when. Let's get into the how. Now, before I get into the how, you may be saying, oh, this is a lot of information. It's okay. If you're saying that though, imagine your prospect. So be sure to slow down and repeat back. It sounds like you want to buy a house because you're tired of dealing with the neighbors upstairs. And that's why you want to buy a single family home with a big backyard somewhere, in Rutherford or Bloomfield or maybe even East Orange. Okay, got it. And we're going to go ahead and look for that in the next 3 to 6 months or so. Does that sound about right? Okay, great. Stop along the way and ask questions. Make sure they're following you. Say, hey, are you still with me? That's what you're doing. Now, how is critical? This is not, here's the state of the market and the days on market are X and this is why, and blah, blah, blah. No, not that how. You want to give them very concrete next steps, starting with who are you? You want to clarify roles. So the first thing you do, you clarify roles. So I will say in a buyer consultation, hey, so just want to clarify roles. The first step of the process is for you guys to hire a realtor. That's my role. That's my job. So ideally, you guys say, hey, we love Brendan. We want to move forward. Great. When you hire us, our job is very simple. Our job is to find you the best house for the best possible price. The end. That's the point of the mission. And I'll tell buyers that every time. And I'll say, with that, we're showing you houses, we're negotiating contracts for you, we're making sure the job gets done. And with that said, thankfully, when you hire me, you just don't hire me, you hire my whole team. Thankfully, we have transaction coordinators and showing agents where their job is to assist me as I assist you. They really handle the day-to-day, whereas I handle the negotiation and really finding you the right property. Critical that you say that. I then will say, and how do we get paid? I'm glad you said that. So right here, when you clarify roles, you also clarify compensation. Here's an example, just an example of what a compensation conversation would look like. So I'll say, and how do we get paid? People always ask. We earn 3% of whatever the sales price is. Now, of the 3%, more often than not, the seller's agent is paying 2% of that, and you're paying 1%. That's more often than not. Sometimes the seller agent pays less, and then you have to pay more. Sometimes the seller agent pays more, and then you pay less. But just to be safe, we want you to budget 1% for the time of closing. Very straightforward. That way, it's an even number. Hey, the house is $500,000, you're paying $5,000. Sounds about fair? Sweet. And now, if you haven't done so already, I can't begin to tell you guys how critical it would be for you guys to get a lender. Ideally, you as the agent have already gotten the lender to speak with them, to pre-approve them. But this is a critical thing, and I'll tell the buyer, the lender is going to make sure you are financially prepared to purchase. Step 3, I'm going to send you houses. Very clearly, what does that mean? Expectation bus is you have to tell your client what to expect. It's like if you went to a different country and that country doesn't wash their hands unless it's a sign of disrespect. So when you're over here telling the buyer, I'm going to send you houses, well, how are you going to send me houses? How often? Should I send you houses? So I'll say something along the lines of, hey, so I'm going to send you houses as they come up, best homes possible that I think would be a good fit for you. However, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what is a perfect house, or if you like the house or you don't. So please, when I send you houses, please provide feedback. You're probably going to get houses from me anywhere between 3 to 5 times a week. And with that, I expect you, if you see a house on Zillow, even if it's at 11 o'clock, please send that over my way. I'm making it very clear here. They can send houses to me. I'll send houses to them. And I need their feedback. Now, let's say I send you a few houses and everything looks good, except for you want to tell them showings. So when I say showings, what do I mean? I mean literally, hey, now that you send me a house for us to see, if you send me a house today, we're probably going to be able to see it within 24 to 48 hours. And I'll tell them, a lot of these properties, let's say it's a multifamily, we're not going to be able to see all the units. Why is that important to say? Because you want to make it clear that it's not a bad tenant, but that multifamily properties are increasingly difficult to show. This sets clear expectations and allows the buyer to be prepared. It also prevents an objection. So you also want to share with the buyer during the showing portion of the buyer consult, hey, and just to let you know, we're going to be seeing no less than 2 houses every time we go out and never more than 4. 2 to 4 is really that sweet spot. Ideally 3. You don't want your buyer to have the expectation that you're going to take off a whole day just to show them 20 houses. No, it's confusing for them and it's exhausting for you. During showings, this portion of the conversation, I will tell them, at the end of every showing, I'm going to ask you, what did you rank this house on a scale of 1 to 10? Hey, John, on a scale of 1 to 10, what did you rank this home? He says, I'll rank it an 8. I'm like, whoa, if it's an 8, we date. Honestly, that's pretty good. What made you really like the house that much? Well, you know what, sounds like you really like the house. Would you consider putting an offer in, or would that be totally crazy? Or if I get the vibe they don't really like the house, but they're just being polite, I would ask them a question like, well, what would have to change to make this house a 10 for you to put an offer in? So I'll have that conversation and go for the close. And I'll tell them about that question coming up and what does an 8 mean when I review what showings is. Almost done. Number 5, submitting offers. Okay, so when you submit an offer, let's say we see a house, right? You send me a house, we saw it, we loved it. At the end of the showing, you say, hey, it's an 8, let's date. I'm like, great. My job is to speak with the listing agent, get feedback, and really have a better understanding. when we grab the offer, we want to do it within 24 hours max, because houses can get taken off the market pretty quickly. So when you're submitting an offer, when we get to that phase, what price should we go at? Well, it varies house to house, but a good rule of thumb is that house may sell up to 10%, if not more, above the asking price. My job, once again, is always to get you the house at the best possible price. Now, with that said, when we're looking at houses over here in the send houses phase, I'll even tell them that as well. I'll say, hey, if you see a house in the market for 500 and it's a brand new listing, expect that could go for 550. Submitting offers, though, is really a phase when you want to educate them. Hey, houses are going above ask, and what you really want to go through and explain them what we call the 3-step negotiation process. What does that mean? So you want to tell the buyer this. So the first step in negotiating offer is submitting the offer. And that's really the hardest part, Mr. Buyer. When you're submitting the offer, you're usually competing with 2 or 3 other buyers if it's a really popular house, which if you have good taste, it will be. But thankfully, we have step 2, right? So step 2 in negotiation is the inspection. Now, even though in the offer we may write, hey, we're limiting inspection to structural or environmental, meaning big ticket items. What we'll do, Mr. Buyer, is we actually will still do an inspection and we're still going to make sure the house is standing up. And even if it's perfect, which no house is, we're going to try to negotiate for you. And you can expect anywhere between 1 to 2% on average of the sales price. So if the house is $500,000, expect during inspections to get back 5 or even up to 10,000. Number 3 is the appraisal. So Mr. Buyer, if the house is listed for 600 and you come in and put an offer for 650, are you going to pay 650? Well, it depends. What is the appraisal? So let's say the appraisal comes back in at 600. What are you going to pay? 99% of the time, they say, I'm going to pay 600. Well, I say maybe, maybe not. We'll always renegotiate appraisal, but understand that the seller, they were expecting 650. So it's not uncommon for the seller to want you to cover anywhere up to like $10,000 or $15,000 above the appraised value. Still though, it is at that point an opportunity for us to renegotiate. Last but not least, you got your offer accepted, woot, woot, woot. And that's exactly what I'll tell the person. I'll be like, oh my gosh, you got the offer accepted. In the buyer console, they kind of got bored. Like you probably got bored watching this. They probably got bored and you want to make it lively. You want to high five them. And you want to go, attorney review. When I'm explaining attorney review to them, I say exactly this or something along the lines of this. I say, hey, so we actually are in an attorney review state here in New Jersey. That means even though you accept the offer and they accept the offer, your attorney and their attorney can cancel for whatever reason. And they're going to make a bunch of changes at no penalty whatsoever. So during the attorney review, you want to get through this portion with your attorney. This happens after you sign the offer and after the seller signed the offer. And that usually can last 3 to 5 business days. And that is really kind of the whole end all be all. There's a bunch of stuff after this, inspection and appraisal and title and all that fun stuff. And then your deposits due, blah, 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 blah. But I don't want to overwhelm you guys. And I don't want to overwhelm the buyer. So you really only want to get up to this point during the buyer consult. And remember, less is more. If you're going to speak succinctly, get to the point, and thank God we actually have a great, if you're part of the team here, we have a great SOP video list that you can actually send to your buyers for them to read up on attorney review or submitting offers or showings. We have all of this for the buyers. So this is a great opportunity for you to take advantage and help your buyer understand their why, help them understand what am I actually looking for, where am I going to find it, when should I do it, and how are we going to get there with the De Silva team. We're grateful to have you here. We're looking forward to doing tons of buyer consultations with you, and hopefully this video was of immense value.